Hey, welcome back, guys, for another video. I didn't know, and this video is going to be about Colorado Buffaloes, of course. I didn't know that Dylan Edwards and Alton McCaskill transferred. Correct me if I'm wrong. I heard one of my subscribers at LeBron Boulay James, I forgot his username, but he mentioned to me via text message in my comments to one of my videos saying that Dylan Edwards is gone. And I also started to peruse the internet, and I saw that Alton McCaskill is gone as well. I didn't think Dylan Edwards was going to go. Remember, this is the same guy that Coach Prime had known since he was like 4 or 5 years old. He's coached him since he was in Pee Wee football. And Coach Prime has history with this kid. So that's shocking to me. And I beg you guys, please don't call me a hater. Don't say it. I hate that. Because when you do that, it immediately cripples the capacity that you have, or handicaps the capacity that you have to even delve into higher states of conversation that would inevitably awaken your consciousness and evolve you into a higher thinker, a critical thinker. Don't throw out insults. Like, if you call me a hater, I'm not going to call you a lover of Coach Prime. Okay? There's no need to name call. All I'm saying is that for you guys that love Coach Prime and love what he's trying to do in Colorado, I want you guys to ask yourselves a question, a critical question. If this rebuild was genuine, if this coming to Colorado to revamp the program, a program that's been below average, for quite some time, irrelevant for quite some time, if Coach Prime's efforts were genuine, would you think that so many key players that came on with him would be leaving? Now, I know the comeback, so I'm going to play devil's advocate. I'm not going to say devil's advocate. I'll just say I'll play advocate. Some of you guys may say, well, it happens all the time. A lot of kids transfer. It's no big deal. People come and go. It is a big deal. I'm going to tell you why it's a big deal. Not after the first year. If the students, and I hate to call them kids, I'll call them young men, out of respect, because they're not kids. I mean, they're kids relatively speaking, but they're young men. They're growing to be young men. They're young men. If young men truly believed in what Coach Prime were doing, especially key players that came, Dylan Edwards was a key cog to that first season. Alton McCaskill could have been a key cog, but he wasn't used. But we know what kind of animal he is. He's a beast. Need I remind you guys to go back and look at some of his U of H footage? The guy's a monster. He had an injury, and all of a sudden he can't play anymore. He doesn't know how to run the damn ball. Get out of here. Coach Prime didn't use him. I think everyone is starting to see that it's daddy ball. And I think that daddy ball and the sons are Travis, all right? Adopted son Travis Hunter, Shiloh, and Shador. And everybody else, doesn't matter. And I think people are starting to see that. These aren't players who weren't getting playing time who left. Okay, Corman leaving, you can say, okay, yeah, he had it coming. Corman didn't play much his freshman year. When he did get played, he got torched. He's undisciplined, even though I don't believe those stories to be true. I think that those are just cop-outs. You're trying to tell me that he's the only player on the football team that made mistakes, that came late to certain meetings, that didn't do things perfectly? Get out of here. Get the hell out of here. I saw a game with Stoutmeyer, one of the DBs, deliberately disrespecting Coach Prime on the sideline in the game, talking back to him. Nothing happened to Stoutmeyer. He was still on the team. He still played. So I don't believe that narrative. I think that narrative about Corman being lazy or undisciplined or immature and not studying film and not doing this. I think that it probably did happen, but I think that story started to get legs and it started to move as something that was a norm for Corman, as if that's something that he normally did. I believe he did make mistakes as a freshman, as a young man, but it's up to Coach Prime to reel him in and bring him in and instill confidence in him. See, part of being a coach is not just talking the game, it's actually putting your boots on the ground and actually impacting these kids heart to heart. You killed the guy's confidence. He's not a 5-star recruit for no reason. You're trying to tell me that all of a sudden he forgot how to play DB? You killed his confidence. And when you kill a player's confidence, they try to overdo it. When they're in the game, they apply way too much pressure on themselves and they overthink things and they end up not playing the way they're supposed to naturally play, which is free, loose, and confident. Yeah, when he finally got in the game, he was probably shell-shocked. I'm like, what the hell? I'm in the game? Coach put me in? Well, let me prove to the world that I'm good. You don't have to prove anything, Corman. But that's the pressure that you put on young men. When you put them on blast on media and say, well, Corman, he knows what to do if he wants to play. When Coach Prime made that statement, he put Corman under the bus to say it's his fault. You could have gave a better politically correct answer, Coach Prime. And I know some of you guys who love everything that Coach Prime does, you know he got to keep it real. At what expense? To handicap the emotional state and the mindset of young men that are growing and developing. You're talking about young men who don't even fully have their frontal lobes developed. They don't even know how to compartmentalize pressure and compartmentalize critique. So the last thing you want to do is do it on the big stage in front of media, national television. You don't do that to your players, Coach Brian. So when players are leaving, when you have key players that are leaving, and you can make the excuse to say Alton left because he wasn't playing, why would Dylan leave? Dylan played. He got the ball a lot. Why would Dylan leave? Okay. Why would Alton McCaskill leave? Remember he was talking earlier about, yeah, this year I'm ready. They're going to run the ball more. It's not about running the ball, guys. You know, I could be wrong. This is me speculating. I don't know the future. This is just me speculating. I believe that Coach Prime, in an attempt to revamp that offensive line, and when he threw his offensive line under the bus and said that it's their fault, that everything is the way it is, the reason why his son is not putting up the numbers. Because remember, it's about his son putting up the numbers. You guys are just assets for my son. It's not the team. The team is the son. You guys are just pieces for my son. And I think people are starting to get that message. And that message stinks when you're talking about a team game. It reeks of selfishness. All right? It's disingenuous, and that's why you have people leaving. So when Coach Prime did that, he revamped the offensive line, right? So he got a new offensive line. And all of a sudden people are saying, oh yeah, and you guys have fallen into the trap because you guys believe that Shedeur is so great. Now he's a good quarterback, but I don't believe he's as good as the hype says he is. He's a good quarterback, but he's not as good as, and I'm telling you guys that. Okay? He's good. But Coach Prime he wants those numbers to be great. For him to get a spot or called in for that ceremony that crowns the best player in college football with the Heisman Trophy. That's what he wants for his son. So the offensive line that he has right now is built in Coach Prime's mind to allow my son to flourish and throw for many touchdowns and for many yards. That's the game plan. And I think that the running backs are starting to see that. Remember, look back at my videos. And people call me call me whatever you want. It's okay. I kept saying, if you are a running back in high school, 4 or 5 star running back, whatever you are, do not come to Colorado. It's not that I don't want Colorado to succeed. I'm being objective. Like if I had a young brother, if I had a son, or if I had a nephew or anybody, if I had a friend who had a son and they asked me my opinion, if they think, hey, should my son go visit Colorado for a recruiting trip? He's considering going to Colorado as a running back. Don't go. Because what you saw the first year is a sign of what's to come, especially with Shedeur at the helm. Now, I don't know what Coach Prime is going to do with a different quarterback, but he has lost his mind. Now I'm hearing from a lot of you guys telling me that when he coached at Jackson State, he ran the ball more. Well, something happened. He lost his damn mind when he came into the Power 5 conferences. He's like, oh, wow, I'm in big-time college ball now. Oh, I got to put my son on the forefront. I got to put him out there. He has the Sanders name. It's about branding. It's about pushing the name forward. It's about Prime Sanders, Shedeur Sanders, Shiloh Sanders. It's about the brand. It's not about competent football. It's not about using your personnel and the assets you have and building the team around the strengths that you have. Coach Prime seems to think that the only strength he has on his football team is his son. So he's trying to predicate everything around his son, and that's not true. There are many talented guys on that team. But as you can see, some of those talented guys are leaving. They're jumping ship. All right? They're jumping ship for a reason. Don't give me this crap that it happens all the time. Okay, great, it happens all the time. But why in this specific situation, let's keep everything in context, why in this specific situation are people leaving? In this specific situation. I even gave Coach Prime's status a specific title. I said that Coach Prime, going into his second year of coaching, all right, in D1 football, I said, no, I'm going to call it his redshirt first-year coach. He's a redshirt first-year coach. That's what he is, because the first year was the true experiment. But with all the movement, coaches leaving, defensive coaches, DC leaving, defensive coordinator leaving, offensive coordinator leaving. You have other coaches leaving, offensive line coaches leaving. As of late, he just recently got a defensive coordinator to come. Now you have players leaving, new players coming in. So anybody who has a thinking brain would tell themselves, well, there has to be some level of continuity with what you had last year. Well, if what you had last year is all gone and you're getting a new crop of guys, if 80% of your team turned around, and I don't know the numbers exactly, but I'm sure it's a large percentage of change, of turnaround in regards to player personnel and coaching personnel. Okay? If there's that much of a turnaround, then you have to start asking yourself, like, damn, like, is this really Coach Prime's second year? He's a redshirt first-year coach. He's getting a second chance to be a first-year coach again. That's why I'm going to look at him, and that's how I'm going to analyze his second year. I'm not going to be as critical as you guys may think that I am, because you guys think I'm hating on him. No, I'm going to critique him with the lens of a redshirt first-year coach. I'm not going to say, oh, it's his second year. Look, he's still losing. I'm not going to do that. It's too much newness. It's too much movement going around. Am I going to blame all the movement on Coach Prime? I'm not going to do that. But I think that he bears a lot of the blame because he's the coach of the program. He dictates the culture. He dictates the climate. What you guys see on camera is not real TV. If you're watching the Kardashians or any of those stupid ass reality shows, that's not real life. Those things are edited. They're curated. They're cropped. It's not real. You're just getting footage. And then you're left to take the footage into your brain, into your optical nerves. And then what you do with the footage that you just received, you start to make your own or conjure up your own perceptions of what you think the Colorado football program is like. We don't know the ins and outs. We're not in all the meetings. And we shouldn't be. It's none of our damn business. But for key players to be leaving, that's not something that's just, this happens. No. Not when you're coming in with the kind of hype that you have, Coach Prime. And all eyes are on you, Coach Prime. You generated a lot of revenue for Colorado, Coach Prime. You had these kids believing that you want to dominate, Coach Prime. Why would players after the first year with you say, no, I am out? Why would defensive coordinators leave? Offensive coordinators leave? Why is everybody leaving Coach Prime? Is it because everybody's hater? Because if you guys continue to use that term, they're just hating, then you're an imbecile. Like, I'm sorry, I don't want to insult people, but you're not thinking. I just beg you guys to think. Then if you don't want to think, then go talk to a 6-year-old and just keep throwing out the term haters. You have to start asking yourself that question. Like when a marriage starts, two people, they say, okay, I love you. The man says, I love you. The woman says, I love you. They get married. And within the first year, they have a divorce. And people say, well, it happens. We understand that it happens. I'm not saying that players leaving Colorado is some revelatory act that, paves a sense of epiphany in the minds of all people. That's not what I'm saying at all. I'm not saying that. We know people leave. The NIL rules and the transfer portal has made it very easy for players to jump ship. The question that I'm asking you guys is, why after the first damn year? Not the second year. Now, if he left after the second year, then I'm like, well, he probably didn't see it going in the right direction and he left. And I can say, okay, he had a lot of information to gather. He analyzed his future and he said, you know what? Colorado's not the place for me. Let me go somewhere else and take my talents elsewhere and see what I can do at another school. I'm like, okay, he stayed there 2 years. It didn't work out. After the first year, you're gone? A key player at that? One of the key players that helped them win that TCU game? Come on, man. Come on, man. This is what's happening. And you guys are afraid to see the truth. The truth hurts. But the truth isn't astringent. It has a way of knocking out the nonsense in the brains of many people. This is the truth. Many young men, like many of us who are onlookers, believed in the Coach Prime experience and the Coach Prime experiment and experience. We loved it. We loved the hype. We loved the confidence. Even if it teetered a little bit on arrogance, it was okay. We accept it. He's Coach Prime. We know what we're getting into. This is not something new. As a player, as a TV personality, we understood who Coach Prime is. We all believed. And I think what's happening is that people are not believing anymore. Not because Coach Prime is some God like believe and have faith in me. No. The works are not matching up with the rhetoric. Just like the Bible thumpers like to say, faith without works is dead. You know, you can't believe something when the practice of what you're saying or what you want people to believe isn't matching up, then people are getting the hell out of there. That's what's happening. After McCaskill left U of H, she said, no, I'm coming to Colorado. Coach Prime says, we coming. You know, he has that little commercial when he's walking. Oh, we coming. That's all great. That's all good. Who is we, though? Is we the football program, or is we you and your son Shador, Shiloh, and Travis? So, that's what's happening, folks. Kids are not believing anymore. And kids can read the book. Kids can read the BS quicker than adults can. I think sometimes we like to give people the benefit of the doubt. There's a study that was done, I don't know if it was Harvard or Princeton. There was a study about youth, especially in the public educational realm. They said usually teenagers, when they meet an adult for the first time, in 15 seconds, they can only read you. They don't have the words to articulate their mental state of how they perceive. They don't have the words to actually expound upon how they feel. But internally inside of them, they understand. They can size you up in 15 seconds, 15 to 30 seconds. They can understand what kind of person you are. And I think that these young men, they were moved emotionally. All right? They were moved emotionally, like many of us were. And then after a while, they start to see that this was all smoke and mirrors, and they're leaving. See, actions, believe it or not, actions are a part of communication. You say, what do you mean by actions are a part of communication? Well, when people act, they're communicating with you. If I don't talk to my wife, if I don't call her, if I don't give her affection, my actions are communicating something to her that I don't love her anymore, right? That's what that would mean. Or maybe something else going on between our relationship that needs to be remedied and rectified. When people act, it communicates something. When people are leaving this soon, after the first year, it communicates something that the players no longer believe in Coach Prime. And just because all the players didn't leave doesn't mean that most of the players on that team don't believe in Coach Prime. Okay? Remember what I said before. Just because you see two roaches in the afternoon roaming around in your apartment, that doesn't mean that, oh, I only have two roaches in my house. No, you have an infestation. You just saw the two roaches at daytime. Wait till at night when you're going to sleep. They all come out to play. When key players are leaving after the first year, you better believe that there are other players on that team that feel the same way. They just don't have anywhere to go. See, Dylan Edwards is talented enough to find another place. Corman is talented enough to find another place that will accept him, and he'll get the playing time. After McCaskill, he's talented enough to find another place. See, the guys who are talented enough have the options. The guys that are kind of in the middle, average, they're going to just stick around and ride it out. But they don't believe. They don't. When I heard that Corman leaving and Dylan Edwards? Shit. Dylan Edwards was one of the ones that I thought was one of his adopted sons, like Travis. He's out of there. And I think what's happening is that these young men are starting to have adults in their lives that are speaking to them. Believe it or not, these kids aren't making not kids. Don't want to disrespect them. These young men are not making these decisions on their own. They're getting influenced by other adults, important adults in their lives. It could be an uncle, it could be a father, it could be a mother. People are starting to talk to them, and what do you see happening? People see that the team is about Shador. It's a Shador show. It's a Sanders show. You know, and one of the somebody on my comment page, I forgot her name, the young queen. She said, I didn't know this, that his daughter transferred from Colorado, the basketball team. So that was the only thing to me that made me feel like he may stay longer after his daughter graduates from Colorado. But I believe once Shiloh and Shador are gone, I don't believe Coach Prime stays and coaches there and fulfills his contract of 5 years. Because remember, he's going into his second year. So his second year will be the last year of Shador. Then you're expecting him to coach the third year, the fourth year, the fifth, 3 more years after his son leaves? No, I don't think he has the patience. He's always coached his son. I don't even see him coaching another quarterback other than his son. It's daddy ball. And there's nothing wrong with daddy ball, but when you bring daddy ball to the D1 level, into the Power 5 conferences, you're going to get critiqued. You can't bring that. There has to be a sense of objectivity in your coaching style and your coaching practices. You can't predicate everything on your son. And, you know, every father has a heightened sense of how great their kid is. You know, that's just biased. We have that bias. We think that our kids are always the best. We think our kids are the best in this, the best in that. And that's okay. You're supposed to think that. You're not supposed to think that your kid is the worst. But when you have that mentality, it kind of clouds your judgment. From a practical perspective, it's hard to, you know, be practical in your approach to anything, because there's always that level of bias that's in there that sways your decision making. I mean, when people are leaving you, there's something not right. You know, he had everything in his corner. Coach Prime, when he first got there, he had everyone believing. He had everyone coming there. But I think once people started to see how this program is being ran and what the true core significance of the program is, people started to see, no, this is a show. It's a show, and I want out. So when people are saying that they want substance, not clicks, I think that's just an easy way of saying it. But I think if you gave people time to write an essay, write some sort of dissertation about their experience, it'll surround that concept. The theme and the main theme of it would be clicks versus substance. And I think that what's going on in Colorado is more clicks. And I hate using that term, because I know that Oregon coach used that term. But clicks means that it's about branding. It's about advertising. It's about getting all eyes on me. It's about money. And there's nothing wrong with the money part, because, you know, most programs have to raise revenue. That's great. That's great. But the other parts have to come first. The winning. And I think, and I've said this before in the previous video, the approach, the execution is inverted. It's reversed. It's not. It's ass backwards. It's ass backwards. That's the best way I can say it. It's the branding, it's the recognition, it's the clicks, but out the substance. The substance is the winning. When people say substance, it means domination. And when Coach first got there, he talked about substance, about what he wants his team to be like. Well, if you want your team to be that way, there's certain sacrifices that need to be made. All right, on your part too, Coach Prime, it's not sacrifices for the kids. You want them to work hard, you want them to go to class, you want them to do this, you want them to do that. What are you doing? What sacrifices are you making? All right? You have to be the change that you want to see, Coach Prime. That's how the saying goes, isn't it? Be the change that you want to see. So I don't, you know, anyone could preach a good game. How many times do we see preachers having inappropriate relationships with their congregation, sleeping around with the women in the church, but then talking about being faithful and not committing adultery, but yet they are? Is Coach Prime like that? Is he preaching all this discipline stuff and making sacrifices? What are you doing? What are you doing to connect with your kids? When I say your kids, I mean your football team, not your biological kids. What are you doing? Is there a double standard on your team for your son and everybody else? I don't know. I'm not there. These are just questions that I'm asking. But it's really, really eye-opener for me. Sort of alarming that Dylan Edwards will leave and Alex McCaskill will leave. Who else is leaving? All right. I don't know what the deadline is. Like I told you guys, I'm not going to be doing a lot of Colorado Buffalo videos until the season starts. I mean, occasionally I'll give comments on stuff like this that I hear, things that shock me. One guy left a comment on my page. He said, "This is not news," because my title was "Breaking News: Corman is no longer a Colorado Buffalo," and the guy was like, "This is not breaking news. This is a week ago." And I was laughing when I read that. I'm like, man, I'm so out of the loop. A week ago, but to me it was breaking news. So that's just to let you know, guys. I move to the beat of my own drum. I don't capitulate to what the world does. I capitulate to my own drum. I move to my own beat. And if I'm late, I'm late. But I still had my opinion about it, and I still gave my own, my own analysis of what I thought about him leaving. And I heard the people say he was arrogant on his rant. They called it a rant. I don't call it a rant. I call it a student, a young man who was tired of being quiet, and he wanted to express himself because so many things were being said about him. And I think that he owed it to himself to express himself. There's nothing wrong with that. Coach Corman gets on television a lot and expresses himself. He does a lot of talking. So he learned from Coach. You are a representation of who leads you. So as a freshman, the only thing that Corman knows is how to talk because his coach talks a lot. So Coach talked a lot about him. Corman held his peace for quite some time. He finally got the opportunity to transfer. So now that he transferred, he's like, oh, it's time for me to talk. My coach talked about me, and now I'm going to talk. You could call it throwing shots. Coach Corman threw shots at him too. Coach Corman threw shots at his O-line. All right, so hey, when you're a coach and you're playing a blame game, you better believe that your players are going to adopt that type of concept and mindset. And when stuff hits the fan, so to speak, they're going to revert back to what they know. They know what coach does. They know what our leader does. So I'm going to just replicate and repeat what I know is talking. I don't see anything wrong with what he did. I feel like he has the right to express himself. I don't think he was being disrespectful. He didn't curse out anybody. He didn't say anything that was flagrant. He spoke his mind. He expressed himself, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. When you start handicapping people and impacting their ability to express themselves in a form that's acceptable, then what are you doing? That's not life. He has a right to think that. Yeah, he has a right to want to go to a program that's going to develop him because he didn't feel like he was being developed. He felt like he was being blamed for everything. You can't just get a bunch of players through the portal and think you're going to win. I don't even think Colorado has a great, developmental program. They just started. This is the second year. I would hire the best nutritionists. I would hire the best trainers. I would get the best. I would use my money wisely and spend my money on the things that are not, popular. No one wants to talk about the nutritionists or the trainers, but those are the things that help the football team become what they need to be. The things that are unseen. Like no one sees the workouts. We see them because of well-off media, but you don't see the training regimen of most teams. But the things that are unseen are the things that are seen on game day. I would hire nutritionists. I would hire trainers, like good trainers, not just any trainers. Good trainers. I would find out. I would try to get personnel, people from universities and college programs that have proven to be dominant, and get people from there to come to my school and tell me what are they doing over there. What's their training like? Whether this is being done or not, I don't know. So again, the news that I just heard today, it's news to me. Maybe this is old, but Dylan Edwards and Alton McCaskill are out of it. And I think the other running back left too, Wilkerson. Think about that, guys. Like really? I don't know, man. I'm not even hating. I'm just surprised that I didn't think Dylan Edwards was the last person I thought would leave. I didn't think he'll leave because he was used. He was a key part of that team. His speed is scary. And watch what's going to happen. He's going to go to some other team and dominate. And we're going to be like, Colorado's going to be like, damn, we had him at one point. All right, guys, thank you for indulging me on this video. Leave a comment, tell me what you guys think. Is this normal for players after their first year with a coach that was hyped coming in, wanting to dominate, and he has all the eyes on his program? You would think that young men would love that. Why are these men leaving? Are these men leaving? Is this a sign of what's to come for this season? Is the departure of these athletes, of these young men, is there a message being sent? A subliminal message? Who knows? Leave a comment. Tell me what you guys think. All right. Thank you guys for listening. All right. Bye.